All right, we're doing a quick little sound check here. Want to make sure my mic's not too loud and that we're good to go. Just give me just half a second to make sure this is good. All right, so just like we did a little bit yesterday, but we got interrupted. I'm gonna take you guys through how I do film study, and we're gonna kill two birds with one stone. So this is gonna be a way for me to make some content, but at the same time, I'm gonna be able to get my study done, and at the same time, I'm gonna be able to help you guys as well. So if you guys remember yesterday, I use a lot of notes, but how I take notes is I think kind of unique, specifically in the context that I'll have like notes organized and structured based off the athlete, and like specific things like, so for example with Erich Munis, you guys will see I got stuff with his guard passing, and then like specific things with his guard. And what I do is I take the link from the match, I put it in there, I make my notes. We obviously timestamp that. So when I study film, like obviously like right now, it's gonna be really fresh in my mind. It's gonna be really easy for me to remember. But 3 weeks from now, it's gonna be tough for me to really remember and understand like what I was actually thinking or what I actually saw. So if I take notes, it's timeless. I'm not gonna forget. But if I read my notes and I'm like, I think I got that, but now I can click the match, pull it back up. Thank God for YouTube. I can actually go to the timestamp and see what's going on. So we're going to start with these three matches. We got Hiron Gracie versus Erich Munis. Then we got Lucas. And then we got Scooby and Erich Munis. So, but I will give you guys context. Like when I'm studying matches, it's not that like I'm watching a match once. Like I'm watching matches over and over again because I'm not paying attention to or just looking at like, oh, what sweep did he do? What pass did he do? Which is kind of like the early process of studying a match. But then as I get deeper into it, I'm thinking about grip exchanges, thinking about weight distribution, and I'm trying to find patterns. And believe it or not, like there are times I've watched a match probably 10 to 15 times all the way through. And then it's like on the fifth or 15th or 10th time, like I find a detail I wasn't thinking about before or didn't even see, for example. And the nice thing is if I take notes on them, like a lot of times those notes and things that I saw will inspire other ideas and concepts. So like when I tell people to study film, it's not just like the instruction of like how to do it, but it's watching matches. And when you watch matches, it's going to help you become like a bigger fan of the sport of jiu-jitsu. At the same time, though, it's going to give you inspiration, whether it's the idea of like the athlete's movement, or it could be even something to the extent of like giving you ideas, the idea of like inspiration. So, truthfully, I've probably seen this match like it's probably the eighth time, but we're gonna go through it. I will tell you guys, especially with this match, it kind of sits in like one real area, which is in the closed guard with the spider lapel. But for any of you that have ever studied Erich, like Erich is extremely strategic, extremely smart, and you can pick up a lot of things. Like for example, don't go onto the mat with your phone still inside your gi. So we're gonna watch this, let it get going a little bit, and then I'm gonna do my best to be thinking out loud the whole time, and I'm gonna take some live notes with you guys. So this isn't just um, me studying for me right now or just kind of doing it for you guys. This is like both. This is for me and it's for you. And obviously, like I'm studying Erich right now, but still, if I see something from Heron, then obviously I'm gonna take some stuff from him too. But Erich does a good job finding the lapel here, relaxing within the lasso. And I don't know if you guys saw it in the beginning, but Heron was doing a good job trying to rotate his hand out. But it is interesting though that everything Erich does is to the lapel to his left, because traditionally how most guys will fold their lapel is that they're going to have their left lapel like over the right one. So he has to like take it out of not just the belt, but the other lapel as well. And the reason why I make that comment is because friction does play a role when it comes to getting these out. But Heron is wisely keeping his hips back because if he postures up or drives in, right where you see Erich's foot right here, he's going to be posting the inner knee, and then he's going to do basically like a bicycle or wheel sweep variation, depending upon how you view that spider grip sweep, by trying to rotate him up and over this way. And I know he gets one good look here, but then he goes. But there's actually an interesting exchange that I do in this position, that when I take somebody over and they post like this, I actually will invert all the way through, and with my foot I'll pin the lapel to the mat, do my best to keep this hand to the mat, and then try to rotate, come up on top to where I can either get the sweep, or I'll have a moment, because I'll stop the momentum with the foot into the lapel, pinning it to the mat, that this will actually, believe it or not, like give me an advantage. Like I can either get up on top, get the sweep, or it gives me enough time to come up, steal an advantage, and then I'm right back down. And in the context of this match, with that advantage, I'm playing guard and I'm up by an advantage here. So huge, just like the name of what it is, huge advantage. Not just in the context of like naming the points, but more in the context of, obviously this is a big deal. So wish this referee would hop out of the way. Yep, there he goes again. He does actually work the invert. This is interesting. Okay, interesting detail here. And the reason why I'm pausing this is because I've seen this exchange recently when he makes this grip. But this is earlier in Erich's black belt career. But at, I think it was a BJJ Star super fight between Erich Munis and Adam Rosinski. Similar exchange, but what he did was he had a pant grip, and then he took single legs from this position. So he shot this leg through. But because he has the ankle, it's very difficult for him to prevent, for him to enter the single legs. But you're on top and you're getting a sweep right here. This is actually interesting. Actually, I'm going to make a small note of this real quick. So like we talked yesterday, minute 49, copy paste the link, because I don't have a note on this match yet. Spider lapel, so it fits into this category. Heron Gracie does similar sweep he did to Adam Rosinski. Let's hope I spell this right. To gripping leg, well, technically it's ankle, to single X, but in the Adam match, he took the pant grip and basically forced single X. So this is a note, obviously, like making a reference of a match that will trigger a memory for me. And you guys may take notes, like obviously like a hair different. The biggest thing is that you can go back into time and like be able to think how you're thinking right now based off the notes you got. But we just don't want notes, but we want the link, and we want it timestamp. So in this one, whoops, put the timestamp right next to this here. I think it was 349, right? No, 149. Thank goodness I double checked. Always double check those timestamps, because if we went back to look at this at 349, I'm gonna be like, what was I thinking? Whoops, didn't mean to click that. All right. That was actually a good sweep attempt, and Heron does a good job. I bet he actually did a really good job of getting his heel to his butt and initially posting on his head. It's actually really good. That was a wise decision. I mean, one thing, that's interesting. I wonder if some of this is like, so when you're studying guys' matches, especially recent ones, but then if you watch back their older ones, a lot of times you're going to see them do different stuff. So they get with the good ones. Because in this scenario here, he would stay focused on getting this cross pant grip. Like he would not let that go. He would have stayed there. Like right when he went here, obviously Heron's trying to defend that. He would have made that pant grip and kept passing to the outside that way. Because that cross pant control is huge. But there's other things we don't have access to as well. Like, what is going through Erich's head? What does he know about Heron? This is actually interesting here. This is a position I really like. Obviously, one of the biggest things that Erich wants to prevent is Heron's ability to get to the legs, because you can tell what he's paying attention to, but more to prevent the turtle. Controlling the cross pant control here can be helpful because you can pull this pant up to make it more difficult. But there's one thing Erich's doing here that can actually make his job significantly easier in preventing the turtle, because in order for Heron to turtle, he needs to have his shoulders rotate and his hips. So in order for him to get the turtle position, he's got to have hip and shoulder mobility here. But if he takes his head and puts his forehead into the top hip, so like specifically it's called like the ASIS, it's the two bony parts of the front part of your hip, and he actually puts it there, man, this could have been actually a pretty easy pass. It's a really good sleeve control there, because he's got good control of the head. Yeah, if he takes his head, put it to the hip, I think that would have been much easier. Stay up on his toes, don't put the knee on the mat. But these are also very big boys. Yeah, I would just keep driving the head to the hip and keep circling, because that would have forced Heron to his side because he can't follow because his cross pant control. Oh man, I thought this was like a while ago. This is last year in January. And the reason why I say that is because Erich has clearly gotten a lot better from a technical perspective. Like, to be clear, guys, Erich's always been good. I've studied Erich for a long time. He's one of my favorite athletes to study. But him and Nicholas Marigali are probably my two favorite ones to study, which is wild because I'm a lightweight, but these guys are super heavy, and Marigali's gone up to ultra as well. So he's back to spider lapel. Actually, this is an interesting exchange that I totally overlooked. This is one thing Erich does a really good job of, defending the takedown. And then once his foot gets back to the ground, specifically when he breaks this grip, wait a second, and then immediately pull. Because at a higher level, it is far easier to sweep a guy than to pass a guy's guard. But like for context, to pass somebody who's really good, it takes some time setting it up. With a sweep, generally the same, but you're going to be able to get to 2 points much quicker than passing somebody's guard. Which honestly is why they value guard passing higher than sweeps. I don't think that cross pan control is going to do anything for Heron at all, because in order for this to do something for him, he has to get this foot out of the lapel. Because even if he tripods up, starts circling away from that lapel control, this foot is doing too much in that lapel. He has to find a way to deal with that first, which is honestly what makes this guard so deceptively difficult. Because how many guys do you think Heron has that could play spider lapel at a high level? I would bet good money it's none. And I'd be shocked if it was one. Yeah, so at this point, it's pretty obvious. Erich's up by 2. We're almost at the halfway point of the match. He's going to keep working, looking for opportunities, but there's no reason to rush, because all the burden of like scoring now is all in Heron. And for context, I think this is when Heron like first got his black belt, and he was tearing up brown belt like big time. If I remember correctly, I think he won his weight class at Worlds. I'm not sure exactly how he did in the absolute, but I don't recall him winning double gold. Yeah, that spider lapel is so freaking strong. And it's difficult to appreciate how strong spider lapel is until either 1, you fight it, or 2, you basically play it. But believe it or not, like, it is extremely easy to deal with somebody on their knees from spider lapel. This is one of those positions that the best thing I've seen people do. It's actually one of my athletes. He's a really, really, really talented purple belt, but it's difficult because in order to pass a guard, you got to be able to disengage it, right? Well, what he does, he's on his feet and he keeps himself at far distance and tries to prevent me from entering. The problem is, though, is that like if you play a really good dynamic lapel guard, like for example my lapel zombie system, which you guys can get that in the link down below, if he does something that makes it so I can't quite sweep and he closes the distance, then I'm just going to connect into a different lapel guard. Like, it is such a hard guard to fight because, especially in Heron's position here, the only lapel guard you'll see Erich play is squid guard, or you're going to see him play spider lapel. Like, that's what the guy plays. That's not wrong. It's bad. Or sorry, yeah, it's not wrong. It's actually really good. He does an extremely good job of it. He's like the guy right now on top that there's nobody that can really challenge him outside of if Marigali does end up making a comeback. Yeah, this is interesting because Erich is working, but at the same time, there's no stress, rush, pressure for him to do much of anything. In this position for Erich, if he feels what I feel when I play it, there's like no stress really on your body at all. You could do this all day. But Heron's got to make some things really happen because now he's got 3 minutes and 20 seconds to pass Erich's guard. And the only guy I've seen ever pass Erich's guard at black belt is Nicholas Marigali at the absolute final of pans. Yeah, holding onto that leg is not going to do much. I think he wants to keep it there so he can hopefully rotate his hand out. But yeah, he's going to lose that foot. He's going to lose that foot. Yep, lost the foot. What was his right hand doing, though? I think Heron's frustrated and probably pretty tired now. Whoa, what's up with that camera? Yeah. If you're going to grab the belt, it's always better to grab it palm down. Because if you grab it palm up like that, you can't use it as a frame. But if you grab it palm down, you can frame at the hips. Prevents triangles extremely well. It makes omoplatas extremely difficult. It's actually one of my favorite ways to deal with double sleeve and collar sleeve specifically, because collar sleeve is deadly. Yeah, majority of the outcomes for collar sleeve are all literally submission. Yeah. Oop, this is his best shot. And yep. Really, like if they lose control of that sleeve, it's best to really hop up and take a risk and try to treat that spider lapel like it's a spider and step to that side, throw the leg to the side to try to create a scramble and give yourself opportunity. But you're not going to double under, over, under pass this position. You're just not going to be able to. I'm going to fast forward through this because I don't think much more happens from my memory. Yeah, Erich can afford a stalling call because he's up by 2. Because the next stalling call gives Heron an advantage, and then the next one, you're looking at 2 points, which will obviously give him a win, but there's a minute left. They can only give stalling calls every 20 seconds. Like, you have to be stalling for 20 consecutive seconds. So technically, he throws up a submission, does whatever, resets that 20-second clock, and there's not enough time on the clock. Yeah, it's going to end up one of those too little, too late. But again, this is all way easier said than done. So let's go and hop over to our next match. This is Lucas Alves. I think they say the second middle name like their last name. Obviously, in the United States, it's first name, last name, but it could be different. It is different in Brazil. Yeah, easy guard pull. I wish everybody let me pull guard that easy at lightweight. It's actually one of my favorite details that I picked up from Erich is using those shins to off balance, like towards you. Not just like above your head, but like off angle. It's not something I so much would take notes on because I understand that concept. Well, that's kind of the same idea there. Interesting single X entry opportunity. Collar sleeve. I don't think I've seen Erich ever play collar sleeve before. So this is interesting. Erich does have a good double sleeve, but instead of pushing here, if you have the sleeves and you get your hips off angle, you can bring one of your knees to the inside and win the inside space, and then with your knee, drive your partner away. Yep. You can go to the spider and break the grip, but that's really not going to do much for him. Yep, there you go. Not a huge fan of double ankle sweeps. But when you know the rules, you can break the rules, and there's some guys that can break the rules. Obviously, not rules in the context of like rules for IBJJF, but like generally what people deem as like good fundamentals, if that makes sense. And if you guys have any questions too while we're going through this, especially while we're live, pop them in the chat. But my goal with this is to get some of my film study done, but also teach others and show others how they could study film themselves. And hopefully the way I take notes can give you guys some inspiration, some ideas, maybe take how I do it so you guys can improve your level faster, because film study has made a significant impact in my jiu-jitsu. But we're spending a little bit of time studying through Erich Munis, and we're probably going to revisit some Gustavo Batista and some other guys as well at our next live. But my hope and goal is I could do this like 2 to 3 times a week, go live, because it's at least what I can commit to. And we'll probably hopefully do these more as well. So there's some things that Erich does so extremely well that I'm such a huge fan of. Like when you see him get his guard, when he gets to these positions, how relaxed he is, because you've got 10 minutes to work. Even if you have like 6 or 7, you know, that's still a healthy amount of time, or even 8. But like 10 is a magic number, dude, because it's like how efficient and good your jiu-jitsu is. Because some guys are so dangerous in the first 4 minutes and 5 minutes, but then after that, there's not much that they actually have. But the one thing that I do prefer in this position is that versus being supine and being over relaxed here, I like to use the shin to off balance and use my foot in the hip a little bit to off balance to try to get some of the weight off of this leg, and I'll get to my inside hip. So it would be Erich's left hip that he's going to get off to, because he has to get the foot to the mat to then stand up. But right now, all he has to do is just stand up. So it's like one more step, one more thing that Lucas would have to do in this position. And there he goes. He's doing it right now. But he's doing it when he's ready to attack. Interesting. I think he does a really good job of too of how he uses his shin between the legs to off bounce above, off angle. Ooh, I like that. You see how he entered into the other side, but he's keeping an ankle lock grip. Does he get a tap? I've never seen him get an ankle lock before. No. Yeah, he shouldn't have let him go belly down. Man, what was Lucas doing to defend? Nothing. He was I mean this with love, guys. But my perception is he's waiting to tap here. Because if Lucas were to take it versus laying back, if he's sitting up and he grabs the pant leg right here and he deadlifts it up basically. So this knee goes from the outside to in between the legs. There is zero way he can apply enough pressure to break it. And arguably, not even enough pressure to make like a white belt tap. Maybe. That's crazy. All right, so let's go over to... This was a good match. I've studied this match a handful of times, but Erich is... he's got an unorthodox style of jiu-jitsu with, in my opinion, some strong fundamentals, but there's some things that he does that are just like only Erich can get away with those things. I don't recall if Scooby, though, is ultra heavy. I don't know why I feel like he is. I might be wrong off that. That was good. Stopping the takedown, straight to the pull. Because once that forward momentum stops, go straight to the guard pull. Interesting. See, Scooby's dangerous the whole time, but he looks to me scary dangerous in the first couple minutes. Especially the first like flurry. And that lapel is already out. And if you guys are live in the chat, let me know who you guys are studying right now, what you guys are working through. But for those that didn't hear the beginning, I'm basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone right now, doing my own personal film study. But at the same time, I want to show you guys how I study film so you guys can take some of my ideas and improve your jiu-jitsu faster, because I'm a firm believer like studying film is so crazy important, not just in the context of studying like somebody's instructional, but getting ideas and inspiration from other people's movements that have similar body types to you. But you can also study other body types too, because like if you guys know who Gustavo Batista is, him and I do not have the same body type, but there are concepts I've taken from him that have made my guard passing and some portions of my guard like so much better. Really with him though, it's been more guard passing, but specifically from like being bottom headquarters, man. Let's see. Off balance above, then go back. I thought he would use that momentum a little bit more. I want to see how he did. What? So when he goes under for that 70-30, he lets go of lapel steps and back steps. Up. See that again. So he has the pant grip. He doesn't let go. Oh, he keeps it the whole time. Okay, so this is something that's interesting because there's nothing like directly I could take from this of being like, oh, this is what I'm taking from it, but I want to pressure test this because it makes sense if they have that 70-30 hook, which is the idea of the leg that would be to the hip being under the hamstring. But I want to pressure test that a little bit. Let's see, yep. Yeah, we'll leave this under the passing. Let's say Scooby. Obviously, this is not Scooby-Doo versus Erich. And then making the notes on there. Squid. Guard. Sweep. To passing to single X side. But was a 70-30 hook. I'll put a question mark on there because to me that's gonna tell me like I'm not like 100% sure if I could do that. Basically like to pressure test the position. So this is 155. This is really early in the match. So dash 155. Look at this dude. Getting some live streams out of the way, gonna get better at this stuff, and then getting better at jiu-jitsu at the same time. This is like, you want to talk about time management, dude. We're killing it. And I bet you he's going to escape that foot and then pull. Yeah, you see his coach up there telling him to shelf up that leg, which would be a good idea. But yep, and straight to the pull. Really smart strategy. You could tell that really hit Scooby. Frustrated him pretty good there. I'm not sure what that reset was for. See, this is the goofy stuff Erich does sometimes that I'm like, because, yeah, he's trying to push his head over, maybe go for a normal plata, maybe, but I think sometimes he's just throwing stuff at the wall, just being blunt. And that's not a dog to Erich. Erich is one of my favorite guys to study. He's a beast. Seems like an A+ human being off the mat as well. But sometimes, man, I'm like, I want to believe something's there, but I don't think it is. Now, the cross sleeve control with the squid, I don't think anything is there either. I think some of it may be you're up by 2, you're trying to see what you can kind of make work, look busy, and then see if Scooby changes pace. Because if Erich can keep moving here and trying to do stuff, but he does like just enough to not scare Scooby off, if Scooby stays like this, he's going to eat a penalty, which is obviously a big investment later in the match. Somehow Scooby ties it. That penalty is going to be the big difference maker. Yeah, I would keep playing to that same sleeve. So his right hand playing to the sleeve to the right, and then try to find a way to work your knee to the inside like you're playing double sleeve. Squid, what? I don't even think anything's there. Because he went cross collar with the squid side, but... See, this is one of those things you want to leave no stone unturned. So this is what we're going to do. Wait, I already have this copied. So now let's say 403. So now I'm going to make another note here. Squid cross collar grip. question mark is in I'm not sure about it. And then any submission attacks question mark. This is at what? Oh man, my memory sometimes. 403. So the idea behind this, what I'm thinking, is that this is to where like I don't think anything's really there, because with collar sleeve you've got this arm elongated, but if you know the guy has the collar grip, this right foot can get to the bicep, keep the lapel. You should be able to shoot your leg up. Maybe omoplata. I really don't think so. Maybe triangle. But I don't know. This will be one of those things that in training we'll find out. But actually, because I hold the lapel slightly different, so versus like holding it like this, I'm like here, because then I can play everything from squid, but then I can quickly attack to like my lapel zombie series, or some parts of it people may recognize it as like lapel de plata, but I can quickly exchange. So like if I have that cross collar with the lapel and I shoot my hips up, and if the triangle omoplata is not there, which I don't think it is, I can quickly bring this knee to the inside and attack like almost a K-guard style, if that makes sense. But if you understand the lapel zombie system, go for lapel zombie offense. There's a lot of submission availability there. It's nuts. Erich really likes double ankle style sweeps. And I wouldn't be holding that Achilles. If he's going to rest there, I'd take the pan grip. And then bring that right foot to the inside and take single X with the far lapel. Seems like a little bit of nothing's going on right here. Knee to the groin there, buddy. Smashing those boys, Scooby. And then... man, the idea of rotating the hip up to go for the arm bar on that left arm, I just don't think it's there at all. Now here, there are triangle opportunities. But sometimes you gotta like go like almost like a reverse triangle. That's actually one of my favorite ways to catch a triangles in some niche positions like that. All right, let's go, guys. Get moving. Now we're into our double sleeve territory. Okay, so double lasso. Man, Scooby's got to get a little bit more to work here, create a little bit more pressure, because one thing I feel like Erich does a good job of is making people fight at his pace. Nice. Hold on. So we have double sleeve. Why is it? Okay. Scooby's hips really above him? No. Yeah, they are. I don't understand that. Maybe he's tired. Because like right here is where your hips probably want to be relatively, kind of. You're playing De La Hiva. But this, having your hips under them, I mean, he can't really frame on the shin because he got sleeve controlled. So double sleeve, kind of with your legs draped down for De La Hiva. Off balance over left leg. You guys are like literally watching me live right now, study film and kind of think through this. Okay, so he didn't. He actually tried to knee cut over. He tried to knee cut over this leg. Because if you watch it, takes him up, tries to knee cut over, and then single X. There's only one way to find out, right? We're going to take it, and we're going to study it. I'm going to pressure test it. So Double sleeve, but we'll say my left leg because it would be my left leg. Leg by Delahiva, side and off, balance above you, and take single X, question mark. Because again, I need to look at it, I need to review it again, and this was at the 701 mark. See, if I did this all by memory, there's only one thing I'm pulling from this. This is like be way too much. What? Yeah. See, I almost would have preferred, and this is like all in the moment, so this is not a dock on Eric, but I almost would have preferred instead of posting your hand, post your elbow. Because if I post my elbow, when we do this, we all bounce back, hand goes from the sleeve to the pants. But I could still build height, but this knee would come back further back like a combat stance get up, and I have the pant grip. If I have the pant grip and I'm leaning this way, because this is now his bottom leg, this foot will not be able to get to the ground and can't build height. But because he's controlling just the Achilles, he's not able to hold on to it, and he has to accept it. Yep, that was an advantage. So he did get something. I did get an advantage, but this could have also been 2 points. Which obviously, what's better than an advantage? 2 points. There's always a bit of context there, too. It's actually been a minute since I've seen this match. One thing that Eric just did a really good job of, I like to point out to you guys. He's got like, whether it's like double sleeve or he's got the lapel. No, it's double sleeve because Scooby breaks this grip with the right arm, and then he's immediately going to be attacking this one. Watch what Eric does with his left hand to reinforce his right hand. So he breaks, and then there's a moment there, Eric double stacks. Now, he doesn't do it very long because you can see he doesn't have it there. But if you watch his matches, and actually Nicholas Marigali does this a lot too, to where if he has one sleeve versus this hand kind of being in like nowhere land, he'll grab the wrist. So if someone's trying to break your sleeve grip, if you get a good grip, it's not going to break. But it could like tire your fingers out a little bit too. But if you take your hand, grab around the wrist, it's borderline overpowered. This is the best position Scooby's had, and it's almost gone. See, I like the idea if I was Eric, taking my foot and trying to find a way to make space to get this foot into the bicep. We call it like a cross spider concept, and then bring the other foot in. Much easier way to square up. A lot less energy required. Really shooting at that mermaid sweep, hoping he was either going to stand up or get lucky there. Because when you're crouched like that, especially as big as Scooby is, you're not catching those legs for that mermaid sweep. How important do you feel it is to watch videos of ourselves rolling or competing? I would say it's super important. And the reason why I say it's important is because if I had to prioritize, like, first, so I own my own gym. So with guys and gals that I'm coaching, if they only have a certain amount of time to study, I would for sure prioritize studying your own sparring film first, because like if you can think back, and I want you to like write this down and think about this when you film your sparring and watch it back. There are going to be rounds that you're going to be like, I did so bad, I suck. You watch back the film, but you're going to notice some things in some of those matches. There could be times you actually did suck, but you're going to notice some details and things that you did that were actually really good. So then when you see those things and you're like, oh, I did this really good, it's going to be a higher probability you're going to retain that skill and be able to do it again. But then there are also going to be matches on the flip side. You're like, man, I dominated. I was gangster in that round. But then you watch it back and you're like, I should have been doing this. I should have been doing that. And when you do jiu-jitsu in the context, like my goal is to, number one, have fun, make friends, and it's just to get better. then like studying your own sparring is like super valuable, because then you're less apt to be like, "Ah, I don't want to film this round. I don't want to film that round." Like, regardless who you roll with, you should always review your sparring. Then I would say watching other people compete, specifically guys that, let's say, like maybe would be in your weight class if you're a black belt, or just some of the best guys, to become a fan of the sport and get more familiar with like what the meta actually is. Obviously, BJJ fanatics, different things like that, studying instructionals, super helpful and beneficial, especially with when you're in like a specific study. So I would say ranking studying film, studying your own sparring, it's definitely number one. Because if you look at my phone storage of film, dude, I have days of sparring, and I have all my competition film still saved too. In fact, I review a lot of that as well with my coach. Which, if you guys don't know, Nicholas Marigali is actually my coach, which is freaking crazy that I've got that guy reviewing film, sparring film, competition film, general strategy, and stuff like that. He's like one of my top 3 favorite athletes of all time, especially in the gi, to study. Good question, though. Yeah, this is basically, it's basically now like Erich's going to kind of let Scooby decide how hard they work, but then you're going to see him moving and attacking, like throwing threats, like little jabs out there to avoid stalling calls. But in reality, like if Erich was down, just like anybody, they're going to be moving differently. But it's these spurts of sprints that I think Erich is like paying attention to and conserving for. Because Scooby is such a freakishly explosive athlete, but there's trade offs to everything. You can't maintain that. Erich style, I mean, yeah, like he's explosive, but he can maintain what he does full 10 minutes. Scooby, though, unfortunately, there's no way. And this looks like it's basically going to be the end here. It's actually a really smart grip. It's this grip right here with the lapel. And with where Erich's leg is, his knee's going to have a harder time opening up because this lapel is blocking the outside of his leg. So it's going to kill the mobility. Even though Erich is flexible enough to, his knee won't be able to travel to the outside. He may be able to get his foot over, but if he brings his foot over, he's going to give him the guard pass. The problem is, though, 18 seconds. Yeah, and he's got to find a way to get his hips facing more away from him. Erich is so flexible that he's quite literally somehow almost supine, which is the idea of like hips and shoulders being flat while his legs are being split like this. And the dude's a super heavyweight. I will tell you though, it looks extremely frustrating to deal with Erich's guard. Yep. It's a good match. We'll see another beast. That's Merrim right there. That dude is a freaking animal. But that's what I got for you guys today. I'm going to have like some better scheduling set up to where I want to consistently do some lives with film study. And then with permission from different guys in my school community group that I've got, where I've got my lapel guard instructional, and I'm going to put other courses in there too, but reviewing some of their sparring film, because I want to be able to put more content out there to help people with their jiu-jitsu. But at the same time, things like this, I'm doing my film study, and I'm teaching people how to do it with making content, talk about a best use of time. But then if I can also make content, help other people's jiu-jitsu that are my school community group, man, sounds like a huge win-win. So for those of you that are in here, I really appreciate you guys. If you guys have any questions, please understand. If you want to like lurk and just watch, that's fine. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to engage, ask, shoot me a DM on Instagram, which is at Trey Carter JJ, or just reach out to me however you can see. You can do that. You guys can do that through comments as well. Ask questions, because number one, I like to help people. You can ask my wife. I love talking about jiu-jitsu like far too much. And then the other side is it gives me good content ideas, because my life circles around like literally 2 things: my family and jiu-jitsu. So if you guys love jiu-jitsu, you guys want to get better, love to see you guys more in the live streams. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. So I'll see you guys in the next one.